My 25M girlfriend, 25F of 6 years, screamed at me for 6 hours straight yesterday and told me to use my brain. I think I am losing my mind. I am supposed to be getting ready for work right now, but instead I am standing in my bathroom staring at myself in the mirror trying to figure out what the hell happened to my life. I look like I aged 5 years overnight. My eyes are bloodshot. I have got this stress headache that will not quit, and I keep replaying the same awful conversation over and over in my head. My girlfriend Rachel and I have been together for 6 years. We live together. We are engaged. And up until recently, I thought we were building toward marriage and the whole future thing. But yesterday, I don't know what happened yesterday, but something broke inside me. It started over something so stupid I am almost embarrassed to type it. I bought the wrong brand of coffee creamer at the grocery store. Not even a big purchase. We are talking about a $3 difference between what she asked for and what I grabbed. Normal people would laugh it off, maybe make a joke about it. Rachel lost her absolute mind. What followed was 6 hours of the most exhausting argument of my life. And I use the word argument loosely because it was mostly just her screaming at me while I sat there trying to explain that it was an honest mistake. Every time I tried to speak, she had cut me off and get louder. Every time I tried to walk away, she had follow me and accuse me of running away from our problems. The breaking point came around 11 p.m. when I was so mentally exhausted, I could barely form sentences, and I said something like, "I am sorry, I am just tired, and having trouble thinking clearly right now." That is when she looked me dead in the eye and yelled, "Then use your fucking brain, Ethan." God, sometimes I wonder if you even have one. I just sat there. I have never felt so small in my entire life. This person who is supposed to love me, who I have been planning to marry, just told me I am basically too stupid to function. Over coffee creamer. But here is the thing that is really messing with me. This isn't new. This exact scenario has played out dozens of times over the past couple of years. Something minor happens. Rachel explodes. I try to de-escalate. She gets louder and meaner. I eventually apologize just to make it stop, and then we pretend everything is fine until the next time. We tried couples counseling last year after a particularly bad fight where she threw a book at me, missed. But still, the therapist tried to work with us on communication techniques, but Rachel would just sit there and agree to everything in the session, then go right back to screaming at me the next time she got frustrated about something. I keep telling myself that she is under a lot of stress. She just got promoted at work. Her mom has been having health issues. She is planning our wedding, but the stress has been constant for years now. And I am starting to think this is just who she is when things don't go exactly how she wants them to. The worst part is that when she is not angry, she is incredible, funny, smart, affectionate, ambitious. She pushes me to be better, and she has got this energy that I have always found magnetic. But I am starting to realize that I spend most of my time walking on eggshells, constantly monitoring her mood, and trying to avoid the next explosion. I used to think that is what love looked like, working through the hard times, being patient with each other's flaws. But I don't think being patient is supposed to mean accepting being screamed at and insulted on a regular basis. My friends have started making comments, nothing direct, but I can tell they have noticed that I am always stressed when I talk about Rachel, or that I will sometimes flinch when someone raises their voice, even jokingly. My buddy Mark asked me last week if everything was okay at home, and I didn't know how to answer him. The thing that scares me most is that I am not sure if I am staying because I love her or because I am terrified of throwing away 6 years. We have a wedding planned for next spring, a shared apartment, a whole life together. Starting over at 25 feels impossible, especially when everyone around us talks about what a perfect couple we are. But sitting in this parking lot, replaying her words in my head, I keep thinking, is this what I want for the next 50 years? Is this the person I want to raise kids with? The person I want standing next to me when life gets really hard? I love Rachel, I really do, but I don't think I like who I am when I am with her anymore. I used to be confident, outgoing, quick with a joke. Now I feel like I am constantly apologizing for existing. So I guess my question for you guys is, am I overreacting? Is this normal relationship stuff that everyone goes through? And I am just being too sensitive. Should I try counseling again, or maybe take a break? Or is 6 years worth trying to salvage, even if it means more years of walking on eggshells? I am supposed to go home in a few hours and pretend everything is fine, like I always do, but I don't think I can do it this time. Edit. Holy shit. I wasn't expecting this many responses. Reading through them now. Thank you to everyone who is taking the time to share their thoughts. Edit 2. A lot of people are asking if she has always been like this. Looking back, there were signs early on, but they were smaller, and I chalked them up to her being passionate or caring a lot. The screaming and personal attacks have definitely gotten worse over the years. Edit 3. To those asking about the book throwing. Yes, that really happened. It was during a fight about me leaving dishes in the sink. I told myself it was a one-time thing because she was having a bad day at work. Reading that back now, yikes. Update 1. First, thanks to everyone who responded to my original post. I have been reading the comments obsessively for the past 3 days, and I think you guys helped me see some things I have been in denial about for a long time. So I went home that night and tried to sleep on the couch. Rachel found me there around 6 a.m. and immediately started in with, "What is your problem? Why are you being so dramatic?" When I tried to explain that I was hurt by what happened and needed some space, she rolled her eyes and told me I was being overly sensitive about a simple disagreement. A simple disagreement. 6 hours of screaming and personal attacks, a simple disagreement. I spent the next 2 days psyching myself up to have a real conversation about our communication problems. I even wrote down some key points so I wouldn't lose track of what I wanted to say when she inevitably started yelling. Yesterday evening, I asked if we could talk. It started okay. I explained that I felt disrespected when she yells at me and calls me names, and that I need us to find a healthier way to handle conflicts. I was calm. I wasn't accusatory. I even used some of those "I feel" statements the couple's counselor taught us. Rachel listened for maybe 2 minutes before she started getting defensive. She said I was attacking her character and trying to control how she expresses her emotions. She said that sometimes people raise their voices when they are frustrated, and that is normal, and I need to stop being so fragile about it. I pointed out that there is a difference between raising your voice and spending hours screaming personal insults, and that is when she really lost it. "You are being ridiculous, Ethan. I don't scream. I get passionate about things because I actually care about our relationship, unlike you who just shuts down and acts like a victim every time we have a problem." Then came the part that really got to me. Maybe if you actually listened to me the first time instead of spacing out and being useless, I wouldn't have to get loud to get through to you. I felt that familiar knot in my stomach that I get every time her voice starts rising. I actually realized in that moment that I have been unconsciously bracing myself for her anger for months, maybe years. Like, I am genuinely afraid of making her mad because I know what comes next. That is when it hit me. I shouldn't be afraid of my partner's reaction to normal human mistakes. I shouldn't feel like I need to walk on eggshells in my own home. I told her that I was scared of her when she gets angry, and she completely switched tactics, started crying, saying she couldn't believe I would say something so hurtful, that she is not some abusive monster, and how dare I imply that she is. She said she only gets frustrated because she loves me and wants us to work, and I am making her feel like a terrible person for caring. Classic Rachel move. Whenever I try to address her behavior, somehow I end up being the one apologizing. But this time, I didn't. I just sat there and watched her cry, and all I felt was exhausted. When the tears didn't work, she got angry again. Told me I was being manipulative by making her feel bad about expressing herself naturally. Said that if I cannot handle a strong woman who knows what she wants, maybe I should find myself a doormat instead. The conversation ended with her storming out to stay at her sister's place. She texted me later saying she needed time to think about whether she wants to be with someone who tries to change who she is. Guys, I don't think I am trying to change who she is. I think I am just asking to be treated with basic respect. But she has got me so twisted around that I am starting to question whether I am being unreasonable. I have been alone in the apartment for 2 days now, and it is the most peaceful I have felt in months. No walking on eggshells. No monitoring her mood. No preparing for the next explosion. Just quiet. I think I might stay at my buddy Jake's place for a few more days. I need to figure out if this is who I want to be for the rest of my life. Constantly afraid of setting off the person who is supposed to be my partner. Edit. Reading all your comments about recognizing emotional abuse patterns. I never thought of it that way, but some of the things you are describing sound very familiar. Edit 2. For those asking, yes, She has done the crying or victim thing before when I have tried to address problems. She is very good at making me feel like I am the one being unreasonable. Edit 3. Thanks to whoever suggested I document some of this stuff. I never realized how crazy it would sound when I wrote it down objectively. Update 2. It has been 5 days since I moved in with my buddy Jake temporarily, and I am starting to see my relationship with Rachel from a completely different perspective. First, the practical stuff. Rachel has been texting me constantly since I left. It started with apologies and promises to work on her communication style. When I didn't immediately come running back, the messages got more desperate. Lots of "I cannot live without you," and "we can fix this if you just come home." By day 3, when I still wasn't responding the way she wanted, the tone completely changed. Now it is angry texts about how I am running away from our problems, like a child, and throwing away 6 years over nothing. This morning I woke up to a message that said, "Fine. If you want to act like a victim, go ahead. I am done chasing after you." The whiplash between "please come back" and "you are terrible for leaving" is honestly giving me emotional vertigo. But here is what is really eye-opening. I have been staying with Jake and his girlfriend Amy for 5 days now, and I keep waiting for the fighting to start. Like, I am genuinely confused when they have a disagreement about what to watch on Netflix, and it doesn't escalate into a screaming match. Jake mentioned something to Amy about her leaving dishes out, and she just said, "Oh, my bad," and put them in the dishwasher. That was it. No drama, no tears, no 6-hour argument about respect and responsibility. Is this how normal couples function? Because I honestly cannot remember the last time Rachel and I had a conflict that didn't turn into World War I/II. Yesterday, one of our mutual friends, Sarah, texted me asking what was going on because Rachel had been venting to her about our relationship problems. Apparently, Rachel's version of events is that I am going through some kind of mental health crisis and refusing to communicate about our issues. She told Sarah that I just disappeared one day and will not answer her calls. But here is the kicker. Sarah let slip something that Rachel probably didn't want her to share. She said, and I quote, "Rachel always says you are too easygoing and that she can get away with anything because you never push back. She is worried that now you are finally standing up to her. She doesn't know how to handle it. So Rachel knows exactly what she is doing. She knows she treats me badly. She knows I usually just take it, and now she is panicking because I am not playing along anymore." That realization hit me like a truck. I haven't been a loving boyfriend who is patient with his partner's flaws. I have been an emotional punching bag who is convenient because I don't fight back. I have spent the last week thinking about all the times Rachel has blown up at me, and I am starting to see patterns I never noticed before. She never loses her temper like that with her friends, her coworkers, her family. It is only me who gets the screaming and the personal attacks and the hours-long tirades, because she knows I will take it. Her sister called me yesterday asking what is going on. During that conversation, she mentioned that Rachel has always been dramatic, but that she has gotten worse over the years. She said, "I don't know how you put up with it, Ethan. I love my sister, but I could never live with someone who explodes like that over every little thing. Even Rachel's own sister thinks her behavior is over the line." I have been making a list of all the times Rachel has had what she calls passionate discussions with me in the past year, not including minor stuff, just the times that involved yelling, name-calling, or went on for hours. 14 major fights, average duration. 3-4 hours. Common triggers include me making minor mistakes, not reading her mood correctly, having different opinions about everyday decisions. Common themes. I am stupid. I don't care enough. I am not trying hard enough. I don't understand her when I see it written down like that. It is insane that I convinced myself this was normal relationship stuff. I think the hardest part is mourning the relationship I thought we had. When things were good with Rachel, they were really good. She can be incredibly loving and fun and supportive, but I am starting to realize that good Rachel was conditional on everything, going her way and me never challenging her about anything. The person I fell in love with 6 years ago might not actually exist. Or maybe she does exist, but only when she is getting everything she wants, exactly how she wants it. I am supposed to go back to the apartment this weekend to get more of my clothes. I am honestly dreading it because I know she is going to want to have a big emotional conversation about working things out. But I don't think there is anything left to work out. You cannot compromise with someone who thinks screaming at you for hours is an acceptable form of communication. I am not ready to make any permanent decisions yet, but for the first time in years, I am not walking around with a knot of anxiety in my stomach. That has to mean something. Edit. Thank you to everyone sharing similar stories. It is validating but also heartbreaking to know how common this is. Edit 2. Several people asking about the engagement ring. It is in my dresser drawer at the apartment. I honestly haven't been able to think about it without feeling sick. Edit 3. To those suggesting I am being too harsh, I appreciate the perspective, but I need you to understand that I have spent 6 years making excuses for her behavior. I am finally ready to stop. Final update: I went back to the apartment yesterday to pack up the rest of my things and have the conversation I have been dreading. Rachel was waiting for me with what was clearly a prepared speech about how we could fix everything if I just came home and stopped punishing her for being human. I let her talk because honestly, I needed to hear it one more time to confirm what I already knew. She apologized for getting loud sometimes and promised to work on her communication style. She said she had been doing research on conflict resolution and that she understood now why I felt hurt. But then she said something that just crystallized everything for me. I know I am not perfect, Ethan, but you have to understand that when I get passionate about something, I say things I don't mean. You know, I love you more than anything. You are just being too sensitive to things I say when I am upset. There it was. Even in her apology, she was telling me that her verbal abuse is my fault for being too sensitive. I told her I was done, that I couldn't spend the rest of my life being afraid of my partner's anger, and that I needed to be with someone who could disagree with me without attacking my character or intelligence. Rachel's response went through the predictable cycle. First, more promises to change, then crying about how I was abandoning her, then anger about me giving up on us, and finally the personal attacks I was expecting. She told me I had never found anyone else who would put up with me being boring and emotionally unavailable. She said I was a coward for running away instead of fighting for our relationship. The last thing she said before I walked out was, "You will be back. No one else is going to love you the way I do." You know what? She is right. No one else is going to love me the way she does, with conditions, with explosive anger, with contempt for my basic humanity, and I am grateful for that. I took the engagement ring out of my pocket and left it on the kitchen counter 6 years, reduced to a piece of jewelry sitting next to the coffee maker. The weirdest thing is how empty I felt during the whole conversation. A year ago, seeing Rachel cry would have destroyed me. Yesterday, I just felt tired. Not sad, not angry, just tired of the whole cycle. I got approved for the studio apartment yesterday after 2 weeks of applications and credit checks. I move in this weekend. It is tiny, it is expensive, and I am probably going to be eating ramen for the next 6 months. But it is mine. No shared space with someone who treats me like emotional target practice. Last night was the first time in probably 2 years that I went to sleep without wondering what kind of mood Rachel would be in when she woke up, or mentally rehearsing how to avoid setting her off. I slept for 10 hours straight. This morning I made coffee, the cheap grocery store brand that apparently started our final fight, and just sat in the quiet for an hour. No walking on eggshells, no preparing for explosions, no analyzing every word I say before I say it. Just peace. I am not going to lie and say I don't feel sad about how everything ended. 6 years is a long time, and there were genuinely good moments mixed in with all the chaos. I am going to miss the version of Rachel that existed when everything was going her way, but I cannot keep setting myself on fire to keep someone else warm. A few people have asked if I think she will change for the next person. Honestly, I hope so. But I also know that is not my problem anymore. I spent years thinking I could love her into treating me better, but you cannot fix someone who doesn't think their behavior is broken. I have got a therapy appointment set up for next week. I want to understand how I ended up accepting that treatment for so long, and make sure I don't end up in another relationship where my partner thinks screaming at me is acceptable communication. I wasted 6 years learning that lesson. Don't waste yours. Edit. The response to this post has been overwhelming. To everyone who has shared their own stories, thank you for the solidarity. It helps to know I am not alone in this. Edit 2. Rachel has been trying to contact me through mutual friends. I have asked them to please not pass along messages. I need a clean break to heal from this. Edit 3. For those asking about dating again, I am not ready yet. But for the first time in years, I am actually looking forward to the possibility of being with someone who treats me with basic kindness and respect. What a concept. Edit 4. Thank you to everyone who pointed out that what I described was emotional abuse. It took me a long time to accept that label, but you are right. No one deserves to live in fear of their partner's anger. This is probably my last update, unless something major happens. Time to focus on rebuilding my life and remembering who I am when I am not constantly being torn down by someone who is supposed to love me.